Greetings and welcome to another show of Harmonics. I'm Gregory Correa, and today's guest is a good friend of mine, great guitar player, has a lot of experience, Michael Overton. Michael, how are you, brother?
Gregory, thank you, brother, for having me on here.
Man, what a joy.
Yeah, pandemic, and now we get to see each other. And
live and in color, huh?
Live and in color, and actually get to sit and chat.
Yeah, and it's going to be about you today, man.
Yeah, well, okay.
So, you've been playing a long time, obviously.
Yeah.
When did you ever got the urge to be playing guitar, or what got you involved in your guitar playing? When did you start?
I started back in 1967. My mom wanted to keep us busy in the summertime, so she had us take guitar lessons right over at San Lorenzo Music Center behind the Dunkin' Donuts. There's a hall and music lessons, and my guitar teacher, Wayne Siligo. And it was really just kind of a start off and shy and what do I do? And I just started to enjoy it. I started to play, and he would play his guitar along with me. We do little jams, and then he would bring out a trumpet and saxophone. It was just an amazing first year that I just started to really enjoy having something to make music. Around our household, we always had records. We were always listening to the stereo, always having music. Andy Williams, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby. What was the other one? Oh, I remember listening to Herb Alpert. The Tijuana Brass, and I was just like blown away by the whole horn section, but that's how I just really got interested in music.
Were you playing guitar then at that time, or were you just playing the horns or stuff?
I was listening to the music, and then when I got the guitar lessons, I start to put the two and two together. It's like, yeah, that guitar's in the background on that recording. I can hear that guitar. I hear the drums, and I start to hear the different music, and I really started to just make my own sounds, which was really fun. Making your own music is so much funner than copying other people's.
Absolutely.
That's one thing I do enjoy, playing other people's music, but when I do something on my own, it's so much better.
So much better. So what was your first guitar?
My first guitar was a 1968 Stratocaster. It was bought at the Fender Super Summer Sale with my paper route money.
Oh, awesome.
And
worked for it.
I got the Fender Twin Reverb also with that package. So for like $500 of my paper route money that I've saved since I was 8 years old, I bought my first guitar at 11 years old.
Outrageous. That's so beautiful. First chord that you ever learned?
The first chord I ever learned, G.
Bar chord or just
open chords? Open chords. Wayne Siligo was very much a jazz player.
Okay.
So what we would do is take an older song and we would do it in chords and notes. Chords and notes combined together. So it was really interesting to hear that. Fly me to the moon.
Great song.
And play the song in chords and notes together.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So he was doing that at the same time.
Yeah.
That's how you could find melodies so quickly, right? Oh, that's beautiful.
And he would grab his ES3, I remember it's beautiful, ES335 Gibson. Still jealous of that guitar today. Wish I could find one. Wish I could afford to get one, but it was a beautiful guitar with inlays and everything, and he would just jam with me on it and play along and then do a little solo, and I was like, oh my gosh, you can play solos. Look at the notes that he's playing. I'll play a strum along with him. And we ended up going to a competition, and I did a solo at a music festival, and I did my own solo, and then he would play a duet with me, and that was really fun. I have it actually on a 45. That's vinyl. Remember vinyl?
Yes, we do. Yes, you do.
But it was a 45, and it was actually recorded right there live at the San Jose Music Festival.
Wow. They still have that going too.
Yeah.
Or it's coming back. I just seen a little thing on that. So you started learning that. What was your first band?
The first band, he actually helped form our band. He was into putting people together. A drummer, my brother started playing guitar a year later, and he found us a drummer his name was Mike Greathouse from San Leandro, and he put the three of us together, and we called ourselves Determination. So they had because I was into this one word type of band. You got to have one word. It's going to be special. Just one word. It's going to stand out. Everybody's going to go, determination. Yeah. And that's what we wanted to be. We want to be determined. We're going to be rock stars at 11, 12 years old. So they had a talent night at the San Lorenzo Music Center, the hall in the back, and Determination played. Well, we got up. We had 3 songs.
Do you remember them?
Actually, one of them was 25-6-4 by Chicago. And we did that on guitar, no keyboards.
Wow.
My brother and I did it on guitar with the drums. And then I think the other one was, trying to remember. I can't remember the other one.
That's okay.
I think it was a Creedence song, though. I think it was a Creedence song, I know that. So we get up there and we're ready, get all set up. And the guy goes, the Determinations. And I was like totally dejected. It's like, oh man, that's not our name. So that's my first time really being on stage. And I was all dejected because that's not our name. Our name's Determination. And so we ended up playing the set. We stayed together. We added a keyboardist, actually, that went to San Leandro High, was in the jazz lab band. And we ended up playing our first show together as a foursome at Jerry's Beef Burgers over in San Leandro.
I know where that's at, right on.
Dollar Burger Night.
Yeah, MacArthur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We set up our band outside, and
beautiful.
we had a nice little set of probably about 6 or 7 songs, and we played our set for people buying dollar burgers.
Dollar Burgers. You know, I still go to Jerry's Burgers, and they make great burgers still to this day. So shout out to them. So you got into your first group. You went into high school, you started playing in bands also, or did you slow up?
Well, actually, I played my 8th grade dance, my 8th grade graduation dance with that band, and then...
The girls must have just been all over you.
No.
Okay.
They went after the keyboardist for some reason.
Okay.
I thought lead guitar players were supposed to get them all, but...
the singer does.
That's all right. But no, it was... I guess I probably had some sort of fan base back then, but I was so shy. I was just, I loved hiding behind the guitar.
Seriously?
So
not now you don't.
No. You put that guitar in front of you, you've got like a wall, and you don't have to worry about who's looking at you and who's making fun of you or who's doing what. So to that day, I have that feeling when I put the guitar on. I've had some sort of like shield on me, so it's my mighty axe and shield. But I played 8th grade, and then freshman year, getting into high school, it took a couple years. I took a couple years, I stopped playing, but junior year, I started to meet guys in school. I went to Moreau Catholic right here in Hayward. And
so did Sujoy, my producer.
Yeah?
Yeah, you guys might have known each other.
Well, I don't know.
We'll find out. We'll find out later.
We could find out. But and then I met some guys, and we started rehearsing. That's my first garage band.
Excellent. Aren't we all garage bands to a certain extent?
Right over in San Lorenzo, yeah.
As Tyler and Joe Perry say, man, hey, we're all garage bands. We're the ultimate garage band, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, some people don't like that term, but it is. It's where you start. It's where we got. It's where you go. And that's the first place that you practice. Is you get your parents' garage. And we set up keyboardist Gary Betts, who I went to school with, Pat Green on drums, and I don't know, you know Ken Younger.
God, that sounds familiar. Pete, the other guy sounds more familiar, but Yeah, it sounds really familiar.
Played with Nightwing. Played with John.
Oh, okay, that's where I've heard it. Yeah.
He's
So you knew Johnny too?
Yes.
Johnny Greg. God bless you, John.
Yeah. John, and then because
Dennis.
I still talk to Dennis, and but what's funny is we practiced in the garage, and the cop showed up after the first 15 minutes. So I had that twin reverb, and I had that Stratocaster, and Ken had an SG, and I don't know what he had for an amp, but we had that thing cranked up, and we were just pounding away and trying to learn like Trower and Black Sabbath and just whatever heavy stuff we were trying to play. And the cops showed up 15 minutes and shut us down.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Still so wild. So I want to move into another going up the river with you. You got a nice T-shirt. You got a beautiful T-shirt of Burton here, Cliff Burton. Tell me about you and Cliff, because you've had an extensive friendship with him. You're still engaged in his memory. Tell me about Cliff, how you guys met. You were in a band together. Right. Tell me the players that were in that band.
Well, I met Cliff at a party in Castro Valley. And back in the day, when people had party, they wanted live music. So we would show up, the amps in the back of the van, the back of the truck, the back of the car, plug them in, and whoever was there, we'd start jamming. Whatever song. Yeah,
Kegger party.
And Jim Schaefer was the drummer, and George Tiger Lady, who I played guitar with for a lot of years in the band in Trauma, was with me. We had been playing together for a little bit, trying to find the right people.
Right.
And we met Cliff, and he just jumped in. We were playing, I think, Rock Bottom by UFO.
I love a great song.
And he jumps right in and starts jamming with us. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's good.
Of course, you know
this is
that.
the first bass player that was like, oh, Mash, you're good. I had played with Rob Churchfield.
Of course.
Was really good. But Cliff was just that different.
Dynamic-wise.
Personality.
Yes.
And he was so laid back, and he wasn't, not excitable or anything. He just calm, and he would just play. And it was just amazing. And it's like a few weeks later, I go to Tiger, George. I said, George, can we get him in our band? We need him in our band. And we had hooked up with Dennis Schaefer as a drummer. And
great drummer, Dennis is.
And we said, Cliff, we're serious. We want to be a professional band. We want to go out. We want to write our own music. And he said, yes. So that's where we started to learn, I go over to his house. We'll go out partying, go over his house.
Keggers.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit more.
Of course.
But we go over to his house and pick him up, and he'd be in his room playing Bach on the bass, listening to Bach and playing along with it. And I was like sitting there, and you walk into the room, and go,
exactly.
You're playing. You're
the greats.
Classical music on your bass, and I'm playing along with it. And I said, "This is going to be great.
Yes,
this is going to be great." So, and that's where we formed. And guess where we went back to? My parents' garage. We took old mattresses and put them up against the garage doors and kept the noise down so the police didn't show up. And our neighbor next door was fine with it. He loved the music. And we drove my parents crazy.
You guys played a lot of shows.
Yes, yes. As soon as we got organized, we had a singer, and unfortunately, he had stage issues, and we did a show at the stage in Danville with him, and he fell apart doing the show. I don't know what happened to him, but afterwards he did not show up again, so we were out of a singer. We had just started doing shows together as Trauma, and so we were at Frenchie's in Hayward, and Dennis Schaefer, George and I, Cliff was at home, and we saw this cover band, and the singer, and we saw the singer, and he was really good, Donnie Hillier. And so afterwards, we were hanging out. We didn't know how to approach him. We just kind of, well, you know, maybe he says he's playing in a cover band. Maybe he'll want to do original. He came up to us and asked us, he goes, "Are you guys in a band?" I said, what makes you think that? He says, like, I had hair back then, it's long hair. It's a Wednesday night at Frenchie's, and it's a cover band that nobody knows. And so he figured we were musicians, and that's how we hooked up with Donnie. He had a manager at the time we hooked up with, and that's how we went into my parents' garage. We learned the music till we knew every note. We knew exactly what each of us was going to do. That's one thing about Cliff. One thing about Cliff is we're going to do it right. We're going to do it right every time. And no sloppiness. You're going to go out there.
Be a pro.
Professional. Get out on the stage. You give those people the show. Even if they don't like it, who cares if they don't like it? We're going to do our best on that stage.
Because there's somebody out there watching you.
And that was what Cliff brought to our band. And
so that must have been really tragic when you heard about his passing. When did he actually join? Was it after Trauma that he filtered into? Because I know they were doing a lot of auditions down here after Cliff died down over here down in Hayward.
the rehearsal spot.
Yes, yeah.
We shared a studio. We had a studio right next door to them.
Yeah,
we used to hang out all the time. So.
They're great. I was down there. We probably crossed paths many times. So what? When Cliff, how did it filter into that? How did he get into that? Because he was in with you guys.
We did a show. We did the Whiskey a Go Go down in L.A. with Violation and Stormin'. I don't know if you remember Violation.
Of course I do. They were here, up here.
Yeah, Perry Photos.
Yes.
And Paul.
They played at Niles a lot.
Yes. And our manager put together a 3 Northern California band show at the Whiskey. A package deal. So we all traveled down there. And we played, and James and Lars were at the show. And they came to look, and that was the first time they'd seen Cliff. So a little bit, nothing really happened at that time. We went back down and did a video, which is on YouTube. If you want to look up Cliff Burton Trauma, you'll see the video of his famous guitar bass solo with it. Everybody thought it was a guitar. And the story goes, they thought it was a guitar playing, but there's a bass doing a lead solo up there, and hence the term lead bass, which between Connie, his sister, and myself, either one has coined the phrase, but we came up with Cliff as lead bass. So another long story, but we'll get that. But as we went down, did the video, a friend that our manager had met brought James and Lars down again. And that's when, at the video, they offered to join their band, Metallica. And that's when conversation goes, you move to Northern California and I'll join. And so we had kind of a little bit infighting on our musical style at the time. Some more commercial, some more heavy. I was kind of on the heavy side. Dennis and George were kind of on the commercial. We just kind of had a difference of opinion that led Cliff to looking for something else. And when he heard Metallica's music, it just made him gravitate right to it. Perfect word for it.
So your life, has been you've played with Cliff. You've talked about Cliff. I know he has some things going now that they've got scholarships for Cliff. You're in a new band right now, right? The band is called
Harvester. Yeah.
I like that name. It's almost like you're bringing in a harvest of people or music or whatever. Who's in your lineup?
Kevin Rogers is the singer. Michael Leahy playing lead rhythm guitar. Myself, rhythm lead. Norm Craney, Harvey Jet playing the Thunder, the Jet Man playing the Thunder bass, who we've been friends since 1974. So we've been together a long time. We've known each other a long time.
Even in high school?
In high school, at Moreau. And then we played in a band afterwards called the Willies. And then I formed Trauma after that. And then I found him a few years ago, and I said, we need you playing bass.
So, what are you guys doing now? I mean, because of the pandemic, we kind of talked in when we were coming into the studio. What's the direction of the band? You talked about an EP with the old band that you before Harvester. What are you guys doing now?
Well,
Who's your drummer?
our drummer is Cesar Pizarro.
Okay.
And so we've got a good unit. We're working on originals. We're working on trying to figure out how we want to go about. Now, the music business has changed a lot over the years. So we have different ideas. Play a lot, record. I would like to get into the studio, put out some product, and get out of the house and go play live.
There you go.
Go enjoy it. So there's a happy medium between the two. Playing. But the thing about playing is we need to go out and play,
Small
be
shows.
professional.
Yes.
Go back to where Cliff said we're going to work on these songs until you drive your dad down to the Paradise Isle to start drinking.
That's an old bar.
Yeah, we lived around the corner.
Okay.
So after the 10th time of playing the song through, I guess my dad said, "That's it, I'm out of the house."
That's not there no more.
No, it's
No,
closed down.
right. I mean, that would be a great video, or be in front of it, or just line it up. So you guys are writing music right now?
Writing music. I'm more of a power metal type of thing, not thrash. It kind of trying to modernize. I wrote a lot of music for Trauma that never got recorded. We've taken some of those songs and modernized them a little, put a little bit, let everybody have a little bit of their feel into it. Like the drums, putting a little bit of his accents in there. Let the Jet Man put that thunder bass line in there. And now that we just recently hooked up with Michael and Kevin. Kevin's putting his vocals and putting his lyrics to it. His own thing. I want him to put his
own interpretation
into the lyrics. When I write a song, I give it a title because that's how I'm feeling. We have.
Could he write the lyrics on top of it though too, even though it's your title?
Yeah,
that's what it's called. That's good.
What I try to do.
You're collaborating.
Yeah, trying to set it up to where I was feeling when I wrote the song. I have a song called "Back with a Vengeance," and that's our opening song actually for our set, and it's just talking about me being back, and for Harvey being back. We're together. We're back again. We're back out there playing. Good. We're playing the music that we love. And we played. I love hard rock. I played with Rock Henge for 3 years, which is we'll talk
with a little bit with Mitchell and them. Yeah. So with that, let's get into of the band. That band you got a EP coming out possibly?
Yeah. I with the singer Darren Lee Richardson.
Great singer.
We had a band together. It didn't pan out like it was planned, but we wrote a lot of music together. So we took 3 songs that Darren and I wrote, and we recorded them during the pandemic at home. I actually upgraded my software to something that was actually not free and on the internet.
Right.
So I actually purchased a recording software, and I have a Kemper setup, so I was able to do stuff at home.
Beautiful.
Darren, whose son is very much into TV, movies, has his own home studio, and so he's never really done any recording, projects himself.
Right.
So we did it together, and we did it during the pandemic while everybody was sitting at home.
See, you guys are still brothers. You're musical brothers. That's beautiful. What's your rig? What is your rig? Your setup?
My setup right now, I'm using a custom-made Rev head out of Canada. It's 100 watts. It's a 3-channel amp. And I had it, it's a company that's new. It's been out for a few years, but they custom build the tube amp. Now it's a ton to pick up and move.
Of course.
But it's got great tone. And
your guitar?
My guitar, which one?
Which I know, you have many. So which one was your fab?
My favorite is I have a gold Flying V from 1980. What happened? That was
what a luxury.
I'll make a short story out of it. I was playing with Rob Churchfield in a band. We went down to LA to visit family. We brought our guitars with us. The van got stolen. my 67, 68 Strat was stolen, along with an Ibanez Iceman that was a demo with Ibanez. If you remember Rick's All Music.
Yeah, of course.
They were the Ibanez. They would get demos in. I bought the Iceman demo that I've never seen another one like it. Those two were stolen. I insured it. I took the insurance money, and I was at Guitar Center in San Francisco, and they made 50 special gold Vs for Guitar Center.
And you got it.
I got number 35 of 50.
That's beautiful.
So,
could you hold on for a second? Could I, as we go on, I'd like to just have another 5 more minutes with this. Thank you. So you had all that stolen, and then you got that V. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it's when I buy a guitar or I play a guitar, it's usually when I feel it right away. If it feels good, then it's going home with me.
How many guitars do you have?
Actually, right now about 15. So
so you kind of pick and choose. You got acoustics too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what the one more I want to buy. I want to get a really nice acoustic.
12 string or 6?
6. Something that's a little bit better quality than the ones I have. Yamaha and Ibanez. But then what I'll do is I'll find guitars that haven't been too well taken care of, and then I'll take them apart. So I've been working on my luthier skills on just putting pickups in and cleaning it up. And I actually just did a Hartfield, which was back in the late 80s. Vinnie Moore played them. They were made by Fender over in Japan. I just redid one of those Talon 5s. And so I've got, and then I have a nice Jackson I like too.
I love Jackson.
I played a Charvel.
Charvels are beautiful too.
1986 Charvel Jackson that I found for $200, and then I cleaned it all up and put it all together. And
it's just amazing how you can hot rod your guitar after you get it and after get knowing. So you got a bunch of stuff going with Harvester, and you might be doing an EP coming out possibly.
Well, I've got actually. You are the first to hit. This is going to be exclusive for you.
Hey, man,
only
tell the
only
audience.
for you.
Okay.
The music I did with Rockhenge, 3 songs, just got released yesterday. And it's an EP. It's called Sons of the Henge. We used to be called Rockhenge.
Yes.
We used to open with the, if you know, scientists have been trying to discover sounds out of the rocks. So we called that's how we kind of came up with the name Rockhenge.
I love it.
Because scientists are always hitting the rocks trying to get some sort of vibration. And so we had a video, took an audio of a video that we would open for. They were talking about the rocks and the Stonehenge, rock in the Stonehenge. So they was a long story, yep. But Darren and I put together the 3 songs. It is released. I actually provided the links to the lyric videos, so you have those exclusively, first person, and the links to Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music.
Well, thank you.
Hopefully, post those links up.
Right.
And you can go. It's on all the streaming sites. You can buy the little 3-song CD. I don't know. I'm learning as I go on this. It's been so long. Streaming. What's that? It's like, oh no, you got to have a 12-inch vinyl piece of thing. You put it here and put this down here, and be careful you don't scratch it. Right. So you don't want to mess up the record. But it's really cool.
That is really cool.
It's really fun.
Because that's another thing which I just sent to my cousin a bunch of stuff of Blue Voodoo, and we have video CD that we did before we did our recording of Blue Voodoo, and I sent him a bunch of stuff, today, and it's kind of interesting to see that you're going back. And like you said, Rockhenge, you guys are still in the mesh. See, that music is, to me, it's always kind of like vibrating. That's what we all vibrate to a certain extent as human beings. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Time really moves when you're on my show.
It's amazing. We're already. It's sitting there, and once you start thinking about things, you can go back, and there's so many stories. I mean, there's tons of stories with Cliff. There's tons of stories with George. There's tons of stories with Dennis. There's tons of stories with Rob Churchfield. With John Perillo.
With Johnny Perillo.
John hanging out at his house over on Castro Valley.
Right.
And being careful you didn't upset the chow.
Yeah.
The dog, and which was amazing. That's another. That's funny, huh?
Yeah.
But
I was his best man at his wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is really kind of interesting. I feel bad that he's gone. But, as every good thing, all things must pass, and we are now getting ready to say goodnight. Thank you, Michael, for coming back on.
Thank you for having me.
But I'm going to have you come back on because you got a lot of stories.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
We got more to tell.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Plenty to talk about.
And just about what we've done with each other, too. Playing together at different shows.
Different shows.
Yeah.
We got a lot to do. So, it's great to have Michael Overton on my show. It's absolutely wonderful because we have a lot of commitment. But this is Gregory Correa, along with the great Mike Overton. God bless you. Peace and love. Peace in the world. Peace to Ukraine. Peace.
Yes.